the people that you're marketing to are actually people. So when you sell into the enterprise, usually it's not just one person that you're selling to. It's a group of people. You've got to get somebody to pay for it, and somebody to approve it, and somebody to manage the implementation, and somebody to, try and figure out how it's going to be impact the end user. So there's a lot of moving parts. And it's easy to forget when you're crafting this big giant proposal that there are people who have very real motivations.
Welcome to another episode of peopleHum interview series. I'm your host Sneha Moorthy, and let's begin with a quick introduction of peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end, one-view integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM that is specifically built for crafted employee experiences and the future of work. We run the peopleHum blog and video channel, which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year and publishes around 2 interviews with well-known names globally every month. And now for our guest. Maren Hogan is the CEO of Red Branch Media, an agency offering marketing strategy and outsourcing and thought leadership to HR and recruiting technology and services organizations internationally. She has over 15 years of experience in the HR and recruiting space, and her specialties include content marketing, employer branding, public relations, business growth, market research, and a lot more. We are looking forward to a fun-filled conversation with her today. Welcome, Maren. We are thrilled to have you.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here, as we all are.
Yes, absolutely. So the first question I had for you, Maren, was let's start a little bit about your journey. Like when was the now stand-up comedian added to your bio? What is the story behind that?
So when I was in London for True London, True stands for the Recruiting On Conference, and I'm sure many people listening are familiar with Bill Boorman, and it was his 10th anniversary one. And so he had a lot of different conference experiences or unconference experiences he wanted us to go through, and one of them was, hey, do you want to take this comedy workshop with a famous, not famous, but a street comedian? And I was like, well, I'm 40 years old. If I'm too afraid to do this, then I'll be too afraid to do anything. So I decided to go ahead and take the class. It was really fun. A couple of other people took the class with me from our space. Gordon, Stephen O'Donnell, Chris Long. So we had a good group, and the idea was that we would perform a 5-minute set at the end of the True conference. So it was really, really fun. I definitely think I want to do it again, but it was so much harder because we're all used to speaking in front of groups, but we have like a PowerPoint or, a speech prepared or a presentation. This was very much different. It was much more vulnerable.
Wow, like that's interesting to know. Like it was spontaneous and like it was amazing.
Yeah, it was really fun. And everybody did really well. Plus, it was an audience of people that we know and, get that we're not doing this professionally. So it was fun.
That's nice. So you've had an experience of 15 years in HR. And what is that connects HR and marketing?
So when I first became involved in recruiting, it was from a marketing perspective for a staffing agency, a recruitment agency. And then I started to write about a lot of my questions because I really didn't know that much about recruiting or staffing. And as that happened, it was kind of during the time when Twitter was getting to be a little bit more popular. Grown-ups were allowed on Facebook. Everything was sort of exploding and everyone had a blog, including me. And so I just got to know a lot of the folks in the space. And through recruitingblogs.com, which is now Recruiting Daily, owned by Ryan Leary and William Tincup and them, I just got to know a lot of recruiters all over the world. But it was a little known fact that the name sort of belied that there were about 50% of our audience was HR professionals. So I got to know that community because I was the community manager and the CMO for them for quite some time. I got to know the community really, really well and kind of what made them tick. And the thing that really struck me about HR professionals is they're always kind of walking that line in between being an employee advocate and wanting to make sure engagement is good and experience is good, and that the groups of employees that they have are happy and satisfied. but they're also over here on the company side saying, okay, well, we have to enforce certain legal things so that we can be compliant. We have to make sure that our costs are kept low, which most CFOs want them to do. And they have to make sure that they're serving the business too. And I think that for as sophisticated of a profession as it is, it's really difficult to get a lot of respect for as sophisticated as it is. So from a marketing perspective, I think we struggle with some of the same things. We're all trying to attract people to something, a car, a purse, a job, even like to get enrolled in a certain program, right? Once they're employed there. So those are the things that I think sort of align in both professions. And I also feel like many people think that marketing is very simple, like they think that HR is very simple, when in fact, both are increasingly complex.
Yeah, I really love the way you connect both marketing and HR. Like, it's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from your experience, can you give us an idea about the most common mistakes that, is made by B2B marketers?
Yes, I think this answer has remained consistent throughout my career, and it's that forgetting that the people that you're marketing to are actually people. So when you sell into the enterprise, usually it's not just one person that you're selling to. It's a group of people. You've got to get somebody to pay for it, and somebody to approve it, and somebody to manage the implementation, and somebody to, try and figure out how it's going to be impact the end user. So there's a lot of moving parts. And it's easy to forget when you're crafting this big giant proposal that there are people who have very real motivations for either signing it or not signing it. The woman in charge of finance might feel like, hey, this is a really big bunch of money, and if I approve this and it doesn't go as planned, I'm going to be in hot water. The HR person might be feeling like, I said that this was the right vendor to go with. I feel like I've done my homework, but what if the implementation time is longer than 6 months? And then I get in, they all have things that keep them up at night, and the underlying things are the same as it would be if you're buying anything, right? I want my life to be better or impacted in some way. I'm scared that if I don't do something, it's going to be too painful and I'm going to regret. And then finally, I'm sort of hoping for this better outcome, and they need marketers to assure that to hit all of those points, which are common among every human, right? We all have those same basic fundamental motivators. So I think when people market to businesses, they often forget that there's a face and a desire and a need and a problem. And there's things, that's the first question we ask: what keeps you up at night? And they always have an answer. So
Absolutely. So, like, do you think the lockdown and the quarantine and the new way of work that has changed the future of recruitment? Like, what is your take on that?
yeah, I absolutely think it's going to change recruitment. So in the course of my career, I've worked with a lot of distance learning. I've worked with a lot of video interviewing solutions, basically things designed to facilitate remote work or remote interviewing. Obviously, both of those things we're on Zoom right now, so those have gone through the roof. So I think that's the first and most obvious impact. Secondly, I think employer brand is going to be really impacted, because a lot of us know now that we don't need to be in the office, right? It's nice to be sometimes, and some of us have really fun offices, but employers, I think they might be losing the right to insist that people come into the office. At the same time, I believe employees, my children are older, but if you're working with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old at home and trying to homeschool and do your job, you're probably a little bit more grateful for that office than you were a few months ago. So I think that those things are going to change, and we're going to see some impacts there. I also feel like people are much more connected. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's like now, right? Maybe we always would have done this on a Zoom call. But if there's a meeting at work, a lot of people are on their phones while you're talking, or maybe you come in and have like a quick 3 to 5 minute conversation. Now we all see each other's faces, right? At least in my company, when we're on Zoom, we're all sort of on video. We see each other, we see each other's homes, the background of things. We have more empathy for one another. And, oh, don't worry about it. I have a crazy dog too. Or, oh, it's fine. Go deal with your daughter's, spilled sippy cup or whatever it is. Because we have to have that kind of empathy for our colleagues, and then our future colleagues, right, when we're recruiting. So I think it's going to lead to more empathy, more FaceTime, and finally just kind of hey, remote work is not really, in some cases it is, but for the most part, remote work is possible in almost every instance.
Absolutely. It is even brought even more closer. Like the employer and employee are starting to bond over personal relation as well, which was not very happening before the lockdown, right?
Yeah, you see HR pros as well, but like CEOs, like, what's something I can do to keep my employees engaged this Friday, where before it was like, okay, well, it's happy hour, or okay, we're going to have a potluck for Karen or whatever. Now it's like, I need new ideas. I need to do something new. And I don't think you saw that kind of engagement from all CEOs or leaders, from all HR pros or managers. So I do think that's a really interesting side effect, I guess.
There is a lot of creativity also coming in.
Yeah. And it's really cool because like teachers are learning from what companies are doing to keep their students engaged. And so it's really fascinating. I hope it's a sort of transformative moment for education and for employment moving forward. I hope that it sticks and we don't just be like, okay, well, back to clocking out at 5:01 or something like that.
Absolutely. So just to wrap up the interview process, I had do you have any last sound bites to leave for our audience?
um, I guess it would be sort of a variation on that it's really my hope that something good has to come from all of this, right? And I think we're seeing that in many different societal ways. I think we're seeing that from an educational perspective, from elementary all the way up to collegiate. And so hopefully, even if us grown-ups don't get it this time around, I think maybe our children that are living through it will start to say, oh, okay, like it doesn't have to be the same prescriptive way for every single job and every single employee or employer. So I'm really hoping that my fellow colleagues in the HR industry, whether you're a vendor or you're an HR professional or a recruiter or a marketing agency that markets to all of those people, that you would try and do your part to see, okay, how can we augment our technology? How can we augment our employee handbook or our processes or our product roadmap even?
Wow, that's really amazing. It is amazing connecting with you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this. You made the process incredibly easy, and I'm excited. I would love to come back anytime.
Thank you so much for your time and sharing your views with us. It was really an enriching experience for me, and I'm sure it's going to be the same for our audience as well.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Maren. I will hope to stay in touch with you and take care, stay healthy, stay safe.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye.